All right. Happy Friday. I can't believe we're back here again for another special virtual Paint by the Pints. Tonight is a really cool event because instead of kind of picking a random painting, we're actually choosing a famous artist, Matisse, and kind of re-encapturing this gorgeous painting. And the other cool thing that I like, and Jill, you'll back me up on this, we want to hang this in our house. It's not that the other ones aren't hang worthy, but this is like proper artwork that you'd see in an art gallery, right?
Yeah. Yeah, literally. You can tell me.
Literally. So it's stunning. I'm so excited. So with tonight's event, we also have a special surprise. One of my nearest, dearest, best friends is also an art historian. So we've actually asked her to come on later on and just give you guys a bit of background behind this painting. And because I don't want to give anything away, but she really does go into a bit of fun facts and details. So at least you'll walk away knowing how to paint the painting, but also kind of know the story behind it and why there's certain, patterns or textures in it. So it's really kind of exciting. So the other thing I want to mention before we go on is next Tuesday, we have a really special like one-to-one Zoom basically with our artist Shelly. So what that means is you guys can sign up. Tickets are only $10 and it's going to be a very small group. We're going to do a sailboat themed painting, which is very appropriate for the summertime. And we really want to walk you guys step by step through it, but also it's a chance to kind of chat with each other and get to know each other. And we'd ask you guys to help us spread the word. Please do tell your friends, your family, and even tonight, by all means, share the link to this event. It's a free event. It's family friendly. So share it with your friends and anyone who might be interested. We really appreciate it. So do you want to get into the sketching part of it at least, Jill?
Yeah.
I
Yeah,
call it
it's a quick
sketching,
sketch.
but it's more of a
Yeah.
paint sketch.
Yeah, I didn't use a pencil this time. I just figured we might as well just
Get
jump
into
right
it.
in with the paintbrush and get into it.
Exactly. So as usual, if you guys have any shout outs, do message us. I have our Instagram up here. And yeah, let's get going. I love it. It's so pretty.
Yeah, it's so awesome. I love this painting. I always have. It's always been one of those paintings that have caught my eye throughout high school, university. It's always been one of my favorites.
I noticed like you guys would have seen we did a poll on our Instagram kind of trying to get a bit of information from you guys of what are you looking for? What kind of events do you want? It was really interesting. We actually had a direct 50-50 split on people wanting to continue doing virtual events and then also wanting to do in-person events. So we're working on both equally, I promise you. But I think that virtual events is going to be kind of part of our repertoire from now on forever because we have so many clients from around the world.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it's really exciting. And we've been working with a lot of multinational companies to do their private events, which is really fun. So we're feeling very lucky and thank you guys so much for the continued support over the last couple, I'd say weeks, but it's months now. It's almost half a year.
Yeah, it is months. That's so crazy.
Yeah, absolutely. So you have the primary colors, the ones that we always use. We try to keep it as easy as possible.
Yeah, and we're just going to start with just watered down gray. So we're just going to take a chunk of white and a little tiny bit of black. And again, we say this every week. This is just the sketch. This is not perfection. So I'm really loosely going to throw some big curved shapes in here. And I'm just kind of visualizing where everything is going. So those two marks at the bottom are going to be the corner of the table that the lady is laying on. And that's just gonna kind of place it there. So I know that this is where that table is going to be. And then that line, that kind of, it's not a, oh, what is that called? Here I am again without my loss of words.
We have to get like Sarah on, our art historian. She'll tell you all of the words.
Oh my God. I should know this, but I don't. That triangle at the bottom with the top cut off is the bottom of a skirt. Now there's that big curved line, and this is that huge white space that is going from the wrist going down to her elbow, up, and then her shoulder, and then her arm is curving up and around. This curved line that's kind of scooping down to the table leg, that is that maroon color shape that's underneath of her, like the tablecloth. And like I said, these are just sketch lines. They're just quick lines. This is her hand. So as we wait for my hand to get out of the way, so rude of me. Oh my God. So her hand is like, it's like an upside down U shape. And then it's, instead of like a nice curved lines, there's actually a little bit of a scallop shape that's kind of going in, if that makes any sense. And then her other hand is literally like an oval cut off. And then just her quick head. And it's just a long, elongated oval shape with a triangle nose. And it doesn't even, like, I've closed it in there just to put in the shape. So you've got that oval shape, and then you've got a rectangle shape underneath for her neck area. And that's fine, but we're going to paint over it to cover up those lines. And then I kind of realized that her arm above her head was a little bit thicker. So I'm just adjusting that shape there. And that's where these adjustments are. You kind of place in those shapes, you get an eye of where everything is kind of laid out, and you go in and you adjust. So now finishing off her front arm with her big poofy sleeves. I love these sleeves. I love the pattern on these sleeves. And then this little section here, which is like a bright orange color. It's going to end up being just a bright orange color. And then then we're just kind of finishing off. There's that maroon color shape behind her that just pulls the table into the background.
It is funny because it shows that fashion trends come back around. They just loop around and around. If you guys, I don't know who follows Aisling Kavanagh on Instagram. She's like a fashion designer. I think she works actually at Penny's as well, but she does her own like statement pieces and headbands and things like that. But she's very into like the big shoulders, and it's like this big, beautiful, sleeves and dramatic, lines.
Oh yeah, that's so in right now. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
So I think right here, Brittany, if you want to pause it, like
Yeah.
that's the sketch, and all this is kind of just filling in that white area. Like this is going to be a quick painting. It's not going to take all that long. It looks interesting and difficult and layered, but it's really nice and simple. So
okay, so we're going to pause it right there, and we'll leave it there for a minute because we want you guys to be able to just kind of take it all in. There's a lot of lines going on, and even when
there is a lot of lines, like
yeah.
I know it did go kind of quick,
yeah.
but like I said, it's just a couple straight lines at the bottom for the legs of the table, for the bottom of her skirt,
right,
and then these big organic shapes and curved shapes for her body.
Right. And don't worry too much about it. Yeah, exactly. The organicness of it just makes it that much easier to not be worried. Is it perfect? It's not. It doesn't have to be. And even the colors in this are quite simple. But because they're very stark, they're very dramatic, which makes it fun.
Yeah. And yeah, she takes up most of the canvas. So don't be afraid to use your entire canvas. And if she's bigger than the table, that's fine too. Yeah. But yeah, she's the statement. She's the subject. She's the one that catches your eyes. The table, the tablecloth, that's all background just to kind of fill in that space, basically.
Right. I'd say so many people look at this painting, they're like, I love it, but there's so much white paint. I got to go get white paint. I'm sure there's so many supply runs to get white paint, but.
Oh, right. We use so much white paint.
I know. It's our favorite. Yeah. And that's even like some of the, basically what you guys recommend to us is what we start to look into on top of like our other initiatives. And some people are like, send more white paint. So we literally had 3 packs go out today that were literally just big things of white paint. So by all means, if you're looking for it, we have it. Let us know. I'm going to give you guys another kind of minute to just get the sketches down because I know it is a lot. And then I want to show you guys a really special video about kind of what we're painting. The fun thing that I love when you are figuring out the lines and everything is that this is what makes it your own. Some of you are going to be painting next to your friend right now. One of you is going to have this like really big dramatic lady. Another is going to be a really petite lady. And it's not going to be on purpose, but it's what makes it yours. So again, I always stress, don't worry. Don't, put too much pressure on yourself when it comes to figuring out the perfect lines because there's no such thing as perfect really in painting. It's just what's
Yeah,
yours.
and these are big lines. These are large shapes and just long lines. So short little brushstrokes for your sketch is not going to work. Do you want big confident lines and just jump right in there?
Exactly. And that's why I'm kind of excited that we did it with paint today, Jill, instead of the pencil. Kind of just went for it.
Yeah. There's no going back.
Exactly. So I think we're ready for a video. It's only, I think, 2 or 3 minutes long, but I just wanted to introduce, this is my very, very talented art historian friend, Sarah Buccarelli. She's based in New York. She's been working in art history for a very long time now, and she has some really cool insights. And when I told her, it was funny how it came about. When I told her we were doing this piece, it was like, yeah, I think we're going to do a Matisse piece this week. And she's like, oh my God, send me a picture of, this amazing big Matisse book on her bookshelf from behind her. She's like, I have all the information ready to go if you want me to, be on the stream. So we're very excited to have her on her debut on Paint by the Pints. And here it is.
Hi everyone, I hope you're enjoying your Friday evening and this session of Paint by the Pints. Cheers! My name is Sarah and I'm an art historian and I'm here to give you a little insight about the work that you are painting this evening. It is called The Dream and it is by the French artist Henri Matisse, a great master of 20th century art. The Dream is a beautiful and simplistic and modern take on a traditional art historical subject, that of the sleeping or dreaming woman. As you begin to recreate your painting this evening, I think you'll realize that there's two very important elements to this work, which are color and pattern, which really help define the shape of the composition. Bold colors and bright patterns were very emblematic in Matisse's work. He really wanted his works to have a calming effect on the mind, and this really speaks to the decorative aspect of all of Matisse's works. His subject is a sleeping and dreaming woman, and this is something that Matisse worked throughout for several years, between 1937 and 1940. And The Dream is the ultimate composition that he made, which is from 1940. What we can determine from the earlier versions is that it was originally conceived as much more naturalistic painting, but as Matisse continued to rework it, he constantly made the composition simpler and simpler. He talks about the process in his career and about taking one subject and painting it in many ways, working towards what he feels is the true essence of the painting. As you can tell from looking at your palette right now, Matisse was not afraid of color and enjoyed very bold combinations. The beautiful red frames the perimeter of the composition, while the white really defines the beautiful blouse of the woman with yellow detailing, and the black ink defines the pattern in a beautiful way. Speaking about patterns, this is something that we see throughout Matisse's work, and it really goes back to his family and the way he worked in his studio. He came from a family of weavers, and throughout his life he always collected textiles, which he had laying around his studio and always used as inspiration, as the background of a painting, as a woman's dress, or even furniture. In this work, he specifically references a Romanian blouse that was gifted to him from an artist friend of his who was from Romania and was all the fashion in Paris at this time. So as you come to the conclusion of your painting and you start working out the zigzags and the little florets that make the beautiful pattern in the blouse, maybe you can draw inspiration from a blouse that you have hanging in your own closet, like Matisse always pulled from his own textile collection. And I hope this work becomes a beautiful addition to your home. And you can see
Okay. So actually, can we just okay, cool. So that was kind of an interesting bit of information from Sarah about the kind of backgrounds of Matisse, and it's really cool to see an actual picture of him, isn't it? Just to see, how it started as something really natural and then kind of con- transitioned on. Actually, the other thing is, let me see if we can play the rest because we cut it off just 2 seconds early. So hold on 1 second. All right, so we're going to play the end of it in a few minutes. Sorry about the cutting off, but at the end of the day, it's actually really, really cool to see something that like comes to life and just the process of it. So the painting that we're doing tonight actually isn't the final version, which is quite cool. You could see that he had a much more naturalistic view of the woman sleeping or dreaming, and then it kind of transitioned into what we're doing now. Okay, so Jill, were you able to actually see that?
Yeah,
Yeah, it's quite cool, isn't it?
yeah, it's amazing.
Okay, so what we might do if you guys are caught up on the sketching part is we can play the painting because we're going to paint in the woman's blouse pretty much the whole way through, and then we're going to kind of transition into other colors. So like I said, I'll pull in the rest of the video in a minute, but if we can we'll start with this part now.
Yeah, so we're gonna continue with our white and our gray scale. From the cuff of her sleeve is going to be a brighter white, if not, it's like just an off-white. And then as you go up behind her head, it's going to get darker gray. And that's for the shading because her head is essentially on top of
Hi,
her
everyone.
arm. So it's definitely going to be under, you're definitely going to need that shading for underneath her arm. And then as you kind of go towards her shoulder and down her back, it's still going to be that soft gray, but you're going to kind of start blending it into the white as you come down her back. And just quick strokes, fast strokes, do the wet on the wet paint, and that will help with your blending. And then just keep taking that chunks of color. You don't need to pre-mix it on your palette. You can just add those chunks of white onto your canvas and then work your way through down her shirt, her blouse. And it can definitely be a chunky paint stroke type of painting. It doesn't need to be smoothly blended. And there's a little bit of a chunk of gray in the middle of her back area, right? It's kind of like underneath of that yellow square that's on her blouse in the corner. You could see that. See that. And then as you kind of work your way down the elbow and then back up that front arm, the front part of her sleeve is going to be white. And then the back part of her sleeve is going to be a darker gray. And that transition of color will also establish the difference between her sleeve and then the rest of her blouse. And you don't need a lot of black in here, so you don't need to mix like a huge chunk of black into your white, or else you will have a mound of gray. You just need a tiny, tiny little bit of that black to add to your white to make a nice soft to medium gray. And if you want, you can add just the tiniest bit of blue. And even that tiny blue, as you can see on the palette, like I wiped it off and it was too much. So then I even wiped off more until it was just barely there. And if you add a little bit of blue, that tiny bit of blue to a white, it will help brighten it up. So I just kind of added that to that gray just to give it a little bit more of a brightness to it. The main color here is still that nice soft gray though, so you don't want it too blue. Just keep working that paint, white on white. You can go back and do some touch-ups if you want. Now give your brush a nice good clean, because if you have any white in your brush, then you are going to contaminate the next color that you're going to be using, and the next color is red. So we don't want a pinky red, we want red. Or maybe we do want a pinky red. I don't remember. So I did end up, yeah, I guess I did end up adding a little bit of white to make it a little bit more opaque.
Yeah, it's a hard
Just
color to
so it
get.
doesn't look streaky, yeah. Now we're just going to paint the background behind her. When you're painting with a paint like red, where it's translucent, you can see through it, you want to make sure that your paint strokes are in the same direction to make it look smoother. If you want more of a textured background, then you can go cross hatching or back and forth, up and down type of thing, or kind of smudge it on. But I think with something like this, you want a nice smooth background. So just make sure your paint strokes are in the same direction. So the top two sections are red. Now the bottom section is the table, and then just behind her skirt. So you want to go underneath of that curved organic shape that's like, I would say it's a tablecloth. That's what I'm kind of assuming it is. And as you can see, that red is transparent enough that you can still see the gray sketch lines that you placed for the table, so you won't lose those lines either.
I think this part always it was a bit tricky because it's such a fine little detail. But if you even run your brush literally along the side, you'll get a nice kind of stroke along the edge without kind of going into the woman's curve.
Her, yeah, and her back. But if you drew her blouse coming off the canvas, that's fine too. Like her
Yeah,
elbow is going off the canvas. I just kind of
absolutely.
drew it that way. I ended up painting my table, but that's fine. It just adds to all the other paint streaks that I've got on my desk. But but no, I don't know why I put in that line because I was there and doing it. I don't know. I could have just left it. It would have been fine. But yeah, like as a finished piece, it does kind of frame that section. It just kind of finishes that edge. So
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
in here, I'm just going back and touching up like those streaky brushstrokes and stuff. And that's just my personal preference, is painting in and smoothing out those streaky brushstrokes. Now here, I am trying to make that maroon color. So it's just a little bit of red, a little bit of blue, put a tiny, tiny bit of white in there to make it not so transparent. Because again, that red and that blue are very transparent. So it's like a purpley red, maroon, burgundy type of color.
I like to call it wine, red wine.
Yeah. Yep, so it's going above her shoulder, off to the right. We have a little triangle on the left above her other arm. And now just underneath of her arm and hand. And it goes down to the corner of the table and then back up, but not all the way up to her face. Just above her hand, there's going to be below her face and above her hand, there's that line that kind of goes parallel with her face. And that's going to be like this orange color. So you just want it to go from the edge of the canvas down underneath her hand. I guess that would make it her right hand, yeah. If I kind of try and position myself in that way.
This is definitely a time where you can rotate the canvas if you need, just to be able to see it better
Yeah, definitely.
and get in like the nooks and crannies. Especially if you're left-handed, it can be quite tricky.
And it goes between those fingers. It's kind of like her hand is curled up into a C or a U shape. And you can even change from the larger brush, which I'm using here, and you can use the small brush to fill in all those little nooks and crannies if you'd like.
It is funny, especially when we do private events, people have different preferences of what they want to do. So like some people just love the big brush and they use the big brush the whole way through, and others want to sit there and use the detail brush the whole way through, and it definitely takes
Oh,
longer. But I
yeah.
always say whatever you feel like you have more control with.
Yeah, I'm definitely a detail person. I paint a lot with the smaller brushes when I paint my oil painting. My really detailed oil paintings, I definitely do the majority of it with that small detail brush.
It's definitely can be your best friend for sure.
So I was checking the tackiness of the paint on her sleeve. So we are going to jump into the yellow and paint in that large yellow square. Now that square is about the same size as her head. So just kind of keep that in mind proportionate wise. It's a chunk of color, and this yellow chunk is such a bright, bold color against that really hot red. So it really definitely stands out. And I'm painting this section below her face in yellow too, but eventually we are going to turn it into a really nice orange color. But I'm just putting it down like a base color to get rid of the white. Because there's already so much white. So it was just to kind of help me block in that color so I wouldn't paint over the wrong thing, because I've been known to do that. Just lose track of what I'm doing and just keep on painting over my lines and oops, gotta go back.
I love this color though. I think
So
Sarah is right. It is very vibrant. But this is like a creamy creamsicle orange.
yeah, this is, it's just, it's such, yeah, it's such a pale color that it doesn't, it just kind of tones down that harshness of that yellow. So you don't really want to lose that yellow color, especially in on her back, but you want to tone it down just enough. Um, and then I kind of realized that it wasn't orange enough for these two sections below her arm and her face. So it gets adjusted. And I'm always adjusting. I think I ended up adjusting this like 3 different times. I just wasn't happy with it. I think at the end, that little bit of white in it was making it too creamy, too corally, you know what I mean? Like, and the yellow on her back needed to tone down just a little tiny bit, but the orange underneath her face and her arm kind of needed to equal that same vibrancy as the red. So but that's what I do. Like I play with it, and that's like I make mistakes along the way, and then I cover it up so nobody sees my mistakes. And then that's how you kind of learn from it. I'm always making mistakes. So don't be afraid to make mistakes.
Absolutely. Especially as you paint on, like if you make a mistake, you can always kind of, especially with acrylic, it's very forgiving. As we always say, you always go over it with a bit of a whitewash and just paint on.
So here's where I'm making that orange a little bit more vibrant. And I'm not going to color in the whole thing that vibrant orange. I'm just doing it just underneath her neck, just below her face, and kind of blending it into that softer orange. So it does add a little bit of a dimensional or a depth to it. Now we're going to pick up some more red and a chunk of white, and we're going to make a really nice medium pink color. Medium to light pink, not too light, because you still want it bright and vibrant like the rest of the painting. Gonna add a little bit of that burgundy to it as well, but not too much. Just kind of give it a little bit of depth to it. And then you're going to fill in the hands. Now, if you're having trouble drawing out this hand, you kind of have to think about her hand being in that U shape, like I said, but her palm is like a large oval. And then it's kind of topped off with a medium oval going perpendicular to that. And then her pinkies or her fingertips that are going down is going to be a smaller oval. So you breaking down the shape of that hand into just 3 small ovals definitely will help the shape of that hand. You're just going to fill that in. Now with her face, it starts in the forehead, and then as you get kind of down to the nose, her nose goes out, but you want your pink to kind of go in. So her nose is almost like going to end up being like a white triangle on her face. And you can see that in the thumbnail, that her whole entire face isn't fully pink. Just the front part of her neck, her mouth, her cheeks, and her forehead around her eyes are pink. So you want to leave the nose that's kind of sticking out white, and then you want it to kind of, you want the white to kind of come in a little bit on her face too. And then you can paint some white over top of that nose. Fill it in, and then I was like, that's too much. Let's fix that up. And then blend away all your mistakes. It was only that easy. Now we're just adding a little bit of that lighter pink for like highlights in her hands.
The
Now,
hair
get
dryer's
out.
out, my favorite.
Your handy dandy hair dryer.
I know. When we did this, I was reviewing the tutorial earlier, I was thinking it's quick, like the timing of it is quick, but there's a lot of steps. So I'd say this is definitely going to be one that people are going to be painting away till at least another hour or so, which is totally fine. There's no rush. This is your activity. And I did, like I was saying last week, I love when we get people that are watching this in a week or a month or fucking a year's time and saying, oh, wow, like, you know, you had said that people might be watching this all this time. But it is great to hear when people are kind of reaching back out to us and enjoying the tutorials and saying, I'm watching it and it's months later. It's kind of fun.
That is fun. That's like, yeah, this whole experience has been amazing. So I'm so proud to be a part of this, and to hear about people coming back and doing it, months later. That's amazing. Like, it's out there. It's,
Absolutely.
I don't know. I just feel like that's so cool.
Absolutely. And it's fun because I just we kind of during the week we have our head down. We're just trying to get all the, events through and everything. And then the weekends we have a lot of hens. And I just noticed we had a news article over the week about hosting hens and how like you can order the packs from us and we do, hen parties, or you can even do a tutorial, like one of our tutorials online. So it's actually kind of cool to think that this could be actually a hen party tutorial. They could literally watch this and go through and everyone paint, which is really cool.
Yeah, that would be fun. So now we're just going to move it on to the black. We've got all the color in and we are doing the black, and that's her black skirt. And then outlining everything. I'm using a small brush because I know that I'm going to end up outlining everything with a small brush, but you can absolutely jump in with your large brush and kind of do a quick brush in of her skirt.
I really love the patterns on the sleeves as well. Like you're saying, the sleeves are really fun, but it also makes it so that it, like Sarah was saying in her video, it pulls in this kind of extra layer that you wouldn't think about. How Matisse was kind of born around like a family of weavers, and they had all those textiles around, and so he kind of took inspiration, I suppose, from those things. So you can look in your closet and see kind of what blouses you have, any sort of designs, and could totally change up the design even on the arms. It could be, X's instead of the O's, or the squiggles instead of, whichever. So definitely taking inspiration from kind of the things around you is always a fun and nice idea for your paintings. Makes it more custom to you.
Yeah. Yeah, and he, like, the pattern that he did, it's the zigzags and then the circles, but when I was really kind of looking at it, the way he kind of sketched them in, they're not perfect circles. They're chunky, and they kind of reminded me a little bit more of like a floral than just a circle. So, and they're it's varied. The zigzags aren't perfect. One zigzag's tighter than the other. They don't line up right. And like, I tried to recreate this as close to the original as I could, because that is what I wanted you all to see, was a recreation of his painting. I didn't want to make it my own. So I tried to do it as closely as I could to his own. And but I mean, you don't have to do that. That's like Brittany said, it's fine. Just make it your own. But yeah, these little circles ended up reminding me more of flowers in the zigzag than just random circles. But I loved it.
It's less stressful as well because it's not supposed to be anything specific. It's just kind of freestyle lines, which is fun. Patterns. And again, patterns are very in also. He was before his time.
Yeah. I love his work. It's one of my favorites. So yeah, these zigzags are in, and then I'm just kind of dabbing circle shapes wherever they kind of fit. We're just outlining everything except for the outside of her blouse. The outside of her blouse is not outlined because her blouse is white. So for her head, this is the other part. Her head isn't going to be completely outlined around the pink that you painted. So the back of her neck is actually above that pink line, so she'll have a streak of white. So it's implying that her hair is white as well as her blouse. So, and then as you can see, the back of her head goes up and around. So there is part pink and then part white for her head. You go down, get the nose, a little tiny squiggle for the mouth, the lips. It's not even a defined lip. It's just a little kind of squiggle there. She doesn't have a mouth. It's just that little squiggle. And then the chin goes down into the rest of the neck. And then her hair is just squiggly lines. Her eye is just a curved line going down, and then her eyebrows going the opposite way. And then her hairline is going down along that pink line. And then 3 squiggles to finish off her hair. Now the yellow is double lined for framing that yellow square. And then inside is just a bunch of zigzags going across. And again, these ones aren't perfect either. They don't line up, they don't match. Five zigzags on her front arm. And then a couple more splotchy circles.
Yeah. I was gonna say, what's the fancy term for that? But splotchy circle sounds about right.
Splotchy circles.
We're coining that term. It's trademarked by Paint for the Pints and Jill. I like it. I just love this type of art because it's so freeing to me anyways.
Yeah, it's so fun and it's lighthearted, and it's meant to just make you kind of smile, and you can feel that it's a nice, fun painting.
Exactly.
And that's it. And then you sign it.
Perfect. We're going to pause it there. And so you guys can see it for another minute. Yeah, absolutely. And it's fun because, like, for you guys, just let us know what you want in the way of paintings, because this is where this kind of ideas spark from. Now, Jill had picked this painting before, but a lot of you had said you're interested in, especially like local artists. So let us know who you want to pull in. We had James Kirwan in the Hendrick event a couple weeks ago, which was incredible. The sky's the limit. We have so many different ideas of what we want to kind of start to pull in. And then, like we said, do get in touch with us on any sort of painting themes, or even what in-person events you miss the most. We definitely have a few things in the works, but we're also trying to be really conscious of everyone's health and safety, of course. So bear with us while we kind of work through all of that. And yeah, I'd say the biggest thing for us is continuing to support all your local places that you love. Like we said in the very beginning, and I'm sure you're like, oh, she's saying it again, but we really, really wanted to be able to do this for free for you guys, and to the people who are able to purchase supporter tickets. It means more than to us. It makes us do a happy dance. It allows us to kind of continue doing these events for free for families and your friends and all of that. And yeah, it makes such a big difference to our team. So thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you so much. And continue to go out and support those businesses. Either, even like find your favorite restaurant, go like them on Facebook, leave them a review, message the owner, whatever, tag them on your Instagram post, the same as what you guys do for us. So it makes such a difference. And that's all we can really ask for in this kind of crazy world we're in right now. So thank you. Yeah. So I know before our video got cut off, but it was actually only like 5 seconds away from the end. I can see if we can bring it back just to show you the last 15 seconds if you want. So give us just 2 minutes, not even. So you know what we're actually going to do? It's probably easier instead of playing it from the beginning. What we're going to do is we will post it on our Instagram, because it actually is so interesting what Sarah has to kind of bring to the table with this tutorial. And the nice thing is you can share this link with your family and friends. Please do kind of tell them about our virtual events. Let them know that they're more than welcome to join. And I hope you enjoyed tonight's tutorial. And I thank you very, very much to you, Jill, for continuously kind of walking us through these paintings each week. It's such a big help to us. So thank you.
Oh, thank you for having me be part of this. I love doing this. So
absolutely. So the last thing I'll leave you on is, I know we owe you a Guinness winner. So what we're going to do is we'll pick that over the weekend, and we can let you guys know. I'm thinking on Sunday. Also, I think tomorrow, what's today's? The 10th. Tomorrow, Open Gate Brewery officially starts to open their doors. So please do, give them a shout, even if it's just on Instagram or Facebook, or if you do pop in, do let us know, tag us. We'd love to see everything. It's very exciting, and best of luck to them on the grand opening. And then, of course, all of our other venues are kind of serving food and tapping away at different things. So do have a look. If you're a Wexford fan, our venue, the Sky and the Ground, actually just started shipping their specialty drinks around the country. So that's pretty incredible. If you want to do a whiskey tasting at home with your friends or family, you can do that. Yeah, it's really incredible to see all the different fun, little small business initiatives that's come out of the last couple months. So very fun.
Yeah, it's very impressive how people have adapted their business. And
absolutely. So like I said, I will post the video from Sarah on our Instagram TV, and that way you guys can watch that all the way through. And I think people will be really interested in it anyway, so it's a good thing to have. And thank you so much for joining us tonight. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Let us know what you want to do next. All right. Bye for now, guys. See you on Tuesday, actually. Tuesday night. We'll see you.